Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming down this evening, and I want to thank the members of the council who have also come down for this briefing. Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie from Ward 5, who also chairs the Judiciary Committee, Councilmember Brandon Todd from Ward 4, Councilmember Mary Che from Ward 3, Councilmember Yvette Alexander from Ward 7, Councilmember LaRuby May from Ward 8, and also Councilmember at-large Vincent Orange. And I, of course, have been joined by our public safety team, City Administrator Rashad Young, the Chief of Police, Cathy Lanier, the Chief of the Fire Department, Gregory Dean, and Kevin Donahue, who serves as the Deputy City Administrator and Deputy Mayor for Public Safety. And I also want to acknowledge Adrian Todman, who is the Executive Director of the DC Housing Authority, is also here. We wanted to come down and give you an update on a number of public safety issues. The District of Columbia, as you all know, like other cities across our country, has experienced an increase in violent crime, especially homicide. And so I want to thank and recognize the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department for working so tirelessly to prevent and address any crime anywhere in the District of Columbia. Chief Lanier and the men and women of our Metropolitan Police Department have been working around the clock to close homicide cases anywhere and everywhere that they may happen. The bottom line and the message that I have to our team and our force is that when someone is killed, justice must be served. We're here to provide updates on a few cases. First, on July 4th at approximately 11 p.m., the Metropolitan Police Department was dispatched to the 2600 block of Douglas Place Southeast. When they arrived on the scene, the officers discovered 4 adult victims who were all suffering from gunshot wounds. Unfortunately, one of the victims, 23-year-old Dwayne Dillard, subsequently died. We can now report that 3 arrests have been made related to this case. First, 26-year-old Shaquem Lyons was arrested on Friday, July 24th. 24-year-old Jonathan Taylor was arrested on Saturday, July the 25th. And 27-year-old Harry Herbert was arrested today. All 3 have been charged with second-degree murder while armed. And MPD continues to investigate whether others were involved. These arrests should send the very clear message to anyone who brings violence to our city that we will hold you accountable for your actions. While we commend MPD for making these arrests, our officers cannot do it alone, and they need the public's continued assistance to find additional suspects. If you have any information on this case, please call 202-727-9099. And when the chief comes up, she's also going to refer to a video that we have of this scene. You can also report tips to the police anonymously by sending an anonymous text to MPD's tip line, which is 50411. Before I hand it over to Chief Lanier, I also want to say a few words about another tragedy that took place last night. Yesterday at approximately 8:15, members of the 6th District responded to a shooting that occurred inside of a residence in the 600 block of 46th Place Southeast. Upon arrival, the officers located a 3-year-old Dallas Cox, who was suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. Dallas was transported to an area hospital where she succumbed to her injuries. My heart goes out to Dallas and her family. That gun should have never been in a place where it could have been accidentally or otherwise used to put a little girl in danger. So only by banding together to get guns off the streets and out of the hands of innocent people, innocent young people, will we see violence in our city go down. So I want to thank our first responders who work so hard to save Dallas's life, and I want to thank them for what they do for all the people of the District of Columbia every single day. I want to take a moment before I turn it over to Chief Lanier to acknowledge the chairman of the Judiciary Committee to see if he wants to say anything on behalf of the council.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I also want to thank my colleagues for being here. I don't have a whole lot to add, Madam Mayor. I think you have pretty much summed it up. I think when we look at both of these cases, in particular, the case of Little Dallas, the issue is the proliferation of guns on our streets and how we work to get guns out of the hands of people where they don't belong, to try to avoid tragic instances like what happened last night. And so it's something that I know you care deeply about. I know that Chief Lanier and all the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department are working hard toward that end. And it's something that we've had to do a better job at. With respect to the Douglas Road incident, and I'll let the chief speak to the video, I'll just say that it is completely horrifying to watch what occurred at that scene. And again, the access to guns and the callousness and indifference to the life of human beings is something that we've got to improve upon in the city. It is something that obviously has continued to wreak havoc in the streets across urban America, not just the District of Columbia. And it's something that I know law enforcement and the entire public safety cluster here in the District of Columbia are working hard to combat. And so I really appreciate all your efforts and what you're doing and what your team has been doing, and we're going to continue to work hard to try to address this issue here in the District of Columbia. Thank you.
And Councilmember Alexander, I don't know if you want to comment. This is, we're announcing the arrest related to a crime in Ward 7, but we want to thank you for all of your support with my staff and the Chief of Police. Thank you very much. Chief Lanier.
So one of the reasons that the mayor wanted to do this today to announce these arrests is because the video, when we put the video out on this case asking for the public's help, as the council member said, people were horrified because this video shows multiple people with guns having, a shootout in the middle of the street on the 4th of July. And the recklessness for everyone around them and the danger they put everybody in, and the fact that so many were standing out there on that night armed, that's a big deal. And to send a message to the people involved in this crime too. A lot of people say to me, we're not going to close a case like this because people are scared, and obviously for people to be that brazen and to carry those guns and have this shootout in the middle of the street the way they did, the people are afraid they're not going to come forward. Well, guess what? People who said that were wrong, because this community, like so many of our communities, are tired of this. They're tired of the recklessness. They're tired of the illegal guns. They're tired of people trying to intimidate people in their community, and they are coming forward, and they are talking to us, and they've allowed us to make 3 arrests. And to only add a little bit to what the mayor said, the 3 people that we've arrested so far, one of those persons has been charged with another murder, a first-degree murder charge from a homicide that occurred on August 13th, 2014. So at least one of those 3 is responsible for now 2 murders. So this is a big deal. And I think this sends a message to people in the community that MPD is not going to stop looking. We're not going to stop fighting. And we're not going to stop until we find the people involved in these homicides and make arrests. It sends a message to the bad guys who think they can intimidate people in neighborhoods that it's not successful. People are working with us and helping us to prosecute these cases. And it sends a message to the people who are just trying to raise their kids in a community and be safe in the nation's capital that this is what we're going to, fight for to make sure this happens every day. I want to review this video again, and I know we've got it queued up here, but I want to review this video again because we still have a couple people that we need to identify. So while I'm happy that we have 3 people in custody, we still have others that we need to look for in this case. So they'll re-roll this video and let you take a look at it, and we're still asking for members of the community that have helped us up to this point to continue to help us. We are looking for renewed interest in looking at this video and trying to identify the individuals that you'll see in this clip. So I don't know if we can roll that. Okay, so again, that's pretty clear video. There are people that can identify those involved in this case, so we still need some help going forward. Anybody that's going to be that bold and take shots on a public street like that on the 4th of July when there are kids out, still young people out, we need to get them off the street. So please, for everyone who's helped us, we appreciate what you've done. For those of you who still have information, you can do it anonymously. The mayor mentioned our anonymous text tip line, 50411. Please help us to finish bringing the rest of the people involved in this to justice. And for the families of not only this July 4th homicide victim, but the homicide victim from last year, there is now some closure. We just need to finish up. Thank you.
So we'll take a few questions on topic. Please introduce yourself. Can you stand up, please?
You made 3 arrests. I'm just wondering, there's 4 persons of interest in addition to the 3 arrests already made, or
Chief, you want to talk about the additional?
So the clip that we just showed you are 4 persons of interest that we need to identify from this point forward. So the 3 that are arrested are not in that clip.
Yes, sir. Is there a microphone for this gentleman?
Garrett Haig from WUSA.
Hi.
On the Dallas case, have you determined who the gun belonged to and if it was legally owned?
I think we have the gun. It is not a registered legal gun in the District of Columbia. I don't think that we have determined how the gun got in the house. Yes, Sam. Hold on one second, Sam.
Yes, Mayor, there was some talk that that the fire department didn't get there in time, and so the police had to put the child in a police car and take her to the hospital. Is that true?
Well, it's my understanding that the Housing Authority police were posted on the courtyard of the property outside of where this shooting happened. They heard the gunshots, they responded to the unit, and they were first on the scene because they were right outside.
And they transported the child to the hospital?
They transported the child to the hospital. MPD transported.
We were actually out on the scene.
I'm sorry, I thought it was our Housing Authority. I'll let the chief
No.
speak to it.
And because the officers were actually in the block when the shot was fired, so the officers posted in the block, heard screaming, and a person came out of the apartment building. The officers were right there. So the officers didn't feel it was prudent with the type of injury to wait. They just put the child in the car and went straight to the hospital, and I think that was probably a good decision to do everything they could. It's helped save a life before. If you've got a responder who's right there when the incident happens, it's always best to try and get that medical treatment as quickly as possible.
So the fire department never actually came, or?
It's my understanding the fire department did come, but it was, the officers, again, were right there on the scene when this happened, and the decision was made by an official on the scene that it was best to just take the child and get to the child to the hospital as quickly as possible. As you know, trauma center's not that far away from there, so they were able to get to the child to the hospital and just a matter of minutes.
Chief, we've heard something about a 17-year-old's gun being in that house. Do you know anything about that this gun belonged to some 17-year-old and that maybe additional guns were taken from that house?
So what we'll tell you right now is that there's been no criminal charges placed right now. The firearm has been determined to be illegal, so it is not legally registered. We do have that firearm. So in the investigation, we'll have to figure out, where that gun came from, how it got in the house. If there is any criminal liability, somebody will be charged. There were other adults in the home, there were other child in the home, obviously, but we don't know how that firearm got into the home, and that has to be determined before we place any criminal charges, if we place any criminal charges. So it's just a matter of us doing the investigative work now to figure out how it got there.
And were there other firearms in the house?
I'm not going to comment on that at this point, but we're not going to go beyond that until we finish our investigative work.
Ross?
You talked about Ross Plater, ABC 7. You talked about some closure on the July 4th case. I'm asking the Chief. Can you talk about what the homicide closure rate is and whether or not you think the shift in strategy on the vice units has contributed to what seems to be an uptick in crime?
So if you look at most of the homicide cases that we have, we shifted the drug strategy about a month and a half ago now. If you look at what is driving our violent crime, in most of these cases, it is not open-air street markets, although there is some cases, I would say, that have happened in areas where we do have some drug activity, but that is certainly not a part of what we are seeing. In fact, we are having a summit with chiefs from all across the United States on Monday morning because we are all seeing the same thing. We're all seeing the same thing. There's a difference, kind of difficult to put your finger on it, but there's a difference in what's going on right now in major cities, and we're trying to get together as groups of major city chiefs with prosecutors and with mayors and governors, and to try and see what it is that needs to be done to, kind of stem this wave of violence that's hit our cities.
What's the closure rate? Sorry.
We are at 6. Do you know what the number is for today? I'll have to get back to you. It changes daily, obviously, and I did not look at what this closure rate is after the arrest on this case. So.
Patrick Madden, WAU. Can you just elaborate on what you were talking about with, you're going to be meeting with chiefs around the country about why there's been this uptick in the homicide rate here. What is your sense here in D.C. about what's causing this increase?
And so just, in a conversation with another chief from a major city about 3 weeks ago, in a conversation about what was going on in their city, I noticed a lot of similarities to what I have seen in the past few months. And so just kind of out of curiosity, we organized a group of major cities on a call, and it was remarkable how many cities are seeing the same thing. Some very kind of striking similarities. So that evolved into the summit. I know the mayor has been very interested in trying to do what she can do in terms of legislative issues or pushing issues from her perspective. And so hopefully what will come out of that is that we have some things to share with the mayors and the governors so they can push forward to try and help us what we need to turn this what appears to be a growing trend nationwide.
And what's behind the trend? Is it synthetic drugs? Can you talk about anything that you guys have pinpointed?
Well, I know the mayor has already addressed the synthetic drug issue several times here in Washington, D.C. So it's part of our issue. It is not the only issue, and I don't think it's the same. That particular issue is the same across cities, but there are some similarities, and that's what we hope to identify. Where are the gaps that is causing this uptick in cities, across the United States, and what recommendations, can we come up with as a group to try and figure it out?
One or two more questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Tisha Lewis. I'm with Fox 5. I wanted to talk about if more officers are moving to high crime areas, what that means for some of the other areas, such as 2D in those areas, in terms of your staffing and resources.
Talk about deployment.
So we move our deployment around all the time. We have consistently kept higher deployments or extra deployments, extra personnel deployed in the 5th, 6th, and 7th district, just because of the density of volume of calls that go in those areas and the types of cases that we work. But Occasionally, we'll move resources from one particular area to another, but nothing that is, typically they're specialized units, so they're units that are not your typical 911 responders, so there should be no impact on the 911 responders in every district. But we do have some extra specialized units that we can repurpose, so to speak, to go into areas if we're trying to, and particularly create a sense of security and prevention while we try and, working on closing a homicide and closing a case. The detectives in this case, for 3 weeks, have worked hard to identify each of these offenders and made arrests on Friday and on Saturday and then today. So while this work goes on, we have to kind of sometimes shift some of those extra resources to increase visibility, have a deterrent effect, and also to help make the neighborhood feel safer.
I just wanted to clarify with the Dallas Cox. You're saying that you have not said how the gun went off. We don't know how a shot was fired in the house. Is that
Right now, all indications it was an accident.
okay?
We have no reason to believe that it was anything other than an accident. So really what we are looking at right now is how the gun got in the house.
Okay, because we had been told it was a sibling, and I just was wondering, was it a young child, or was it, a 17-year-old sibling, or was this like a child who accidentally got their hands on a gun?
Yes. We believe it was a young child that got their hands on a gun. So we do believe it's an accident.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We